I'm a board certified music therapist and I'm the owner of Noteworthy Music Therapy Services based here in Charleston. And I'm so glad to be a part of your Lowcountry Autism Foundation speaker series. Here in the month of January, I'm really excited to be able to share some things with you about the world of music therapy and specifically how it relates to children and young adults with autism, the work that I do, as well as some things that families might be able to use in their own daily lives at home with their children, incorporating music in a way that's beneficial for your home life and for your relationship with your child. I thought I should start out telling you a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm a board certified music therapist, have been for 9 years now. This is a second career for me. I was a music teacher, public and private schools throughout the Charleston area. And music's always been a tremendous part of my life. I always knew I wanted to have a career in the music field, but in 2001, my first child was born, and about 2.5 years later, he was diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And it really was not something that I was well versed in. I had not personally had a close family member or even a friend's child who had the autism diagnosis, so it was all completely new to me. The way the diagnosis has been revamped in recent years to include levels of impact, levels of severity for the child. My child, if he were diagnosed under that scale today, he would probably be considered level 1. Back at that time, it was what was called PDD-NOS, so pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified. Essentially a component of autism in the way it's looked at now. And we, immersed ourselves in the world of autism parenting, as I know all of you do, learning as much as you can, taking your child to various specialists and therapists, and I just fell in love with those kids, not just my own, but all of them, and thinking this is the kind of work that I want to do. How can I get into this? How can I be, a part of the amazing work that I was seeing therapists do every day to help these children and their families reach their full potential and have the best lives that they could have. Thankfully, I was introduced to the field of music therapy. Now, the official textbook type of definition for music therapy says that music therapy is an established health profession which is using music within a therapeutic relationship between the therapist and the client to address physical, emotional, cognitive, and social needs of individuals. But yeah, that's way up here, right? Let's bring it down to, layman's terms. What does that mean? When we have music therapists, we have what we call your elevator speech. And that means if you're in an elevator, killing time 30 seconds while you're riding in the elevator and somebody says, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm a music therapist." What is that? I've never heard of that before. You need to have a short, concise way to explain it to someone. So the way I do it is to say that we know that everyone from birth through senior adulthood, diagnosis or not, male, female, all races, all ethnicities, no matter where you're from, everyone relates and responds to music. Music is something that is hardwired in our brains to respond to, at a cognitive level, at a neural level. And what we do as music therapists is to use that universality of music as our tool to address goals that are non-musical, all right? So yes, I am trained as a music educator, and I have taught plenty of people to play instruments and to sing. That's not strictly what music therapy itself is about. We are not here to teach private music lessons and create a performing musician, although performance can be an aspect of it. Learning to read music, learning to perform music on an instrument, however simple or complex, can certainly be a part of it. But the overarching intent of music therapy is to address non-musical goals through the language of music And that is our tool. That's how I connect with my clients, whether they are nonverbal, whether they communicate with assistive devices, or whether they are fully verbal with their speaking voice. We connect through music, and we use music as our tool to promote non-musical goals that you are probably already addressing with your child at home, as well as in, ABA or speech or OT or in their classroom at school, and all of those things, such as coordination and motor skills, all right, through playing an instrument. To promote expressive language, in whatever format that may be, whether it's through a device or whether it's through their spoken voice. You can think of, let's say, communication and conversation skills that just come naturally to most of us. As we're growing up, we don't have to be taught. We learn quickly through observation that when someone's speaking to us, we listen, they pause, it's our turn. We respond, right? We learn quickly that if you interrupt and you begin to talk over someone else, that doesn't get a good reaction. You learn not to do that. And we know that some of these unwritten rules of socialization and communication with others are challenging to our children with autism. There are strategies and protocols that we use in music therapy that can help address learning the back and forth nature of how communication works without actually communicating with your voice or that device. All right, we call it, symbolic communication through music. Taking turns playing drums, taking turns playing a recorder or maracas, all right? There's a lot of research and there's a lot of evidence-based data in place that demonstrates the beneficial nature of music therapy. When you watch a session, you see us having lots of fun, all right? We're dancing, we're moving to the music, we're singing or vocalizing, we're playing instruments, we might be writing words to a song, we're doing so many things that are so much fun, all right? And that's one of the best parts of my job is when I arrive for the session and the client and their family say, yay, Miss Jen is here, music time, we're gonna have so much fun. So on the surface, that is how it looks. And that makes it, in some ways, I guess I'm biased. I don't want to say more beneficial than other related therapies such as speech or OT or PT, because we're definitely not. And we do not want to be seen as a replacement for those. We like to see ourselves as a complement to the treatment team that you already have in place for your child, and yet addressing some similar goals and similar outcomes in a way that doesn't feel like work, in a way that's not stressful or feeling forced to the child to participate. So they're not, it's almost like when you're sneaking that pureed zucchini into the cake mix, right? And the child just thinks, oh, yummy cake, delicious. They don't realize they're getting some vegetables and some good for them ingredients inside that cake. And that's the way I look at what we do. As I say, each child has an individualized treatment plan, all right, where goals and objectives are set and data is collected and goals are adjusted and tweaked to be more challenging over time in a very similar way to what you're already seeing in other therapies that your child has had or is currently having, all right? But we are creating those goals, individualized for that particular child based on music therapy research and proven strategies that can work to facilitate and encourage improvement toward these goals, as I've discussed before, right? So obviously I'm very passionate about this subject. I love doing this work. I wish I would have started it sooner, but as I said, it really wasn't something that crossed my radar screen until my son's diagnosis. And since then, that has been my goal. I went back to school, got the board certification, and have opened my own business here in Charleston. Another part of my outreach as my work as a music therapist is to do these kind of educational presentations to help spread the word about just the power of music in general. for parenting, for even a typical child, but certainly for parenting in a special needs situation and with autism in particular, because that's where my heart is because of my son. So I brought for you today a few small examples of the way you might be able to integrate some music into daily life and routines at home to be able to facilitate and smooth out some things that might be bumpy in your home with the child with autism. Now, you might be raising your hand and saying, Miss Jen, I cannot sing. Right? I am not a good singer. People have told me that I need to be quiet, that my voice is not for singing, so I don't think I can do this. And I'm going to stop and say, yes, you can, right? It is not at all about the operatic, perfectly trained quality of your singing voice. Your child knows and recognizes your voice, since pre-birth. Before they were born, they were learning your voice, and they know it and recognize it more closely to their heart than anyone else's, all right? So the perfection of your singing technique is not the point. So don't be embarrassed or scared off of these concepts because of that. Just jump in and try it regardless of that. Don't let that hold you back. First strategy I want to share with you is for transitions, all right? Now, this is something I had to learn the hard way with my child about. We're at the playground and it's going to be time to leave. What's the outcome going to be if I let my child play until the last minute possible, look at my watch and say, we got to go, and say, all right, come on, let's go, pack up, get in the car? Not going to be pleasant. We know that they need that forewarning, giving them, 5-minute heads up, a 1-minute heads up, helping them gradually work their way into the transition because they don't want to leave. It's so much fun, right? So I frequently used, both in my home life and in my work, transition songs to help facilitate, once you've given them those warnings, to say, all right, 1 more minute, and then we're packing up and it's time to leave. And then that 1 minute passes. Here's what I would suggest. It's a simple tune. You can use any tune you want. This is what I use to say that we're all done with what's going on now, but to help them realize that it's time for something new. And maybe that something new is something they would also like and enjoy, and it won't be as traumatic to stop what we're currently doing as they think it is. So my song goes like this. All done playground, all done playground, all done playground, it's time for something new. Or you could substitute all done videos, or all done bath time, or whatever you're wanting to say, and the consistency of that same song keeps popping up in the child's awareness over and over, and they understand what that means. This is how I'm easing my way out of the thing that I kind of don't want to stop doing into something else that I might like also, and that I'll be okay as I make this transition, because that's scary to them, the unexpected, and something that comes up as a surprise without that warning. We know how challenging that is. So that's number one. Number two, you can use what we call piggyback songs. All right, so think about how somebody takes a piggyback ride, put the child on your back and take them. A piggyback song is that we take it, I just did one for you. We take an existing tune, something familiar, the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the tune of If You're Happy and You Know It, something familiar, The Wheels on the Bus that the child is going to know. But you put a new set of words to it so you don't feel the pressure of, I have to write my own song? No. Just substitute the words in to accomplish whatever your goal is in that moment. And sometimes, if we are teaching a child a series of step-by-step directions for something, you can list those steps, but having a tune that it goes with, the recall, is so much better and so much easier when a tune is involved. Think about this. If I asked you, please recite the poem that you had to memorize in high school for English class 20 years ago. I know I couldn't do it. But if I said, let's sing the song that was popular on the radio when you were in high school, and I turn it on and you start hearing the tune, you're going to remember. The words are going to be there. You're going to recall it. You didn't even know you remembered it. But it's how memories are stored differently in the brain when they are connected with music. All right. So the step-by-step, if we want to teach a child independently the steps for washing their hands, how about that? That's really important right now, right? And to know what to do and to work themselves through it without you facilitating each step. Eventually, that's where we want to get, right? So I just made a little piggyback song for you about steps of washing hands. That tune of, are you sleeping, are you sleeping, is what I used. So I said, first the water, then the soap, wash away the bubbles, we're all clean, All right? Feel free to use that. Steal it if you want to, or make your own. That's the kind of suggestion that I'm making for you, is that feel comfortable in using music and putting words to it to inspire, motivate, encourage the child to do what you're trying to teach them. Last suggestion is, if we're working on prompting them to verbalize, all right, if that's part of their goals, take something very familiar that they do recognize, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I mentioned that one earlier. See if you can sing part of it and then stop before the last word or two. They know what comes next. The predictable structure of that song, they recognize. They know what word comes next. See if they'll say it because you don't, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little. You gotta pause. You're waiting expectantly. What are they gonna say? See if they'll say, star. Yes, all right. We're encouraging them to get that expressive language going. Receptively, they know what word is there. They know the song. Can we encourage them to fill in the blank? Because it feels like you're left hanging. If that word is not filled in, then the line is not finished. So see if they'll do it to whatever familiar, comforting song they know so well, because maybe it's something you've sung for them at home their whole life. Lots of other examples and suggestions I could give you. I just want to share a few today and not to kind of overwhelm you. But here's the way I want to leave our little, speaker session today. Thanks again, Lowcountry Autism Foundation, for asking me. I'm going to share with them, and they will promote, when they share this video, my contact information. All right, as I said, I'm based here in Charleston, the Tri-County area is where I work. I have a partner who works with me. We see clients here in our clinic. We also travel to homes. We're also doing Zoom and virtual sessions in cases in which that's recommended, and also where it's, beneficial for that child and practical for them to be able to sit in front of a screen. I know it's hard, but I'm open and willing to take questions, all right, from local autism families who are having a dilemma and they would like to have some, music therapist advice. Feel free to reach out and ask me that. I would love to hear from you. If you or someone you know is potentially interested in adding music therapy to the treatment plan that your child already has. Again, feel free to contact me. I would love to talk you through the process of how we get started. It's not something that you have to have a doctor's prescription referral recommendation in order to start. It's a pretty simple process, and we can walk you through that, and we can look at the length of session that's appropriate for your child, where is the best venue in which to do it, how often to do it. I know that a lot of our kids are pretty busy with the variety of therapies they have, but we do feel like this is such a great addition and complement to what you already have going on, and really can see some results that, again, look like fun. You might want to join in the sessions with us and do some dancing and singing, and we welcome you to do that as well. So thanks again for having me today. Look forward to hearing from you with any questions, or if you'd like to talk further about what music therapy can do. Thanks very much.